Coming up, stories of one man who paid very little for a surprisingly valuable poster, 2 original copies of the Declaration of Independence that were found at a thrift shop, and an egg that was found at a flea market that later sold for millions. Join us as we uncover some of the best second-hand finds that even Macklemore would be proud of. A signed Picasso poster. Zachary Bodish was visiting the Volunteers of America thrift shop near Columbus, Ohio, when something caught his eye. An advertising poster for a 1958 exhibition of ceramic sculptures made by Picasso. He was so intrigued by the piece that he threw it into his cart and headed to the checkout. Even though he thought the poster was just a reprint, he did some research about the 1958 event. And instead of becoming more knowledgeable about Picasso's work and exhibit, he would learn just how valuable the poster he had bought really was. After some thorough web investigating, he convinced himself that he had an original copy of the poster, and that the red marks in the corner, well, that was Picasso's signature. And he was right. An authenticator confirmed that he had snatched up an original signed poster at his local thrift shop for a small fraction of what it was worth. Zachary then ended up selling his poster for a cool $7,000, which isn't too bad considering he only paid $14.14. Ilya Bolotowsky painting. Beth Feedback, an unemployed artist, was browsing through the artwork aisle at her local Goodwill one day when she stumbled upon 2 oil canvases. Thinking that they were just beautiful and unique, she paid a measly $10 for both of them and left the store. Later on, when her friend saw the paintings, she recommended that she do some research, especially about the artist, and one painting in particular that was titled Vertical Diamond. An appraiser told her it was worth anything between $15,000 and $20,000. However, the painting would go on to sell for $34,373. As it turns out, Beth certainly has a great eye for quality and valuable art. A 1959 Jaeger-Lecoultre Watch. Now, after hearing this story, you might want to spend a little bit of extra time in the jewelry and watch section at the thrift store. Zach Norris loves to hunt for treasure, and one day at his local Goodwill, he found a watch that was priced $5.95. Upon closer inspection, he quickly realized it was a 1959 Jaeger-Lecoultre watch, and he just had to grab it up before anyone else got wise about what it was. He didn't waste any time and put it up for sale on a watch collector's website. That's where it would sell in exchange for $35,000 cash and another $4,000 watch. Not too shabby for a Goodwill find. A Vince Lombardi sweater. If you've never had a reason to pay attention to the sports world, you certainly do now. Sean and Ricky McAvoy saw a sweater at the local Goodwill that caught their eye. It wasn't exactly in perfect condition, but they bought it anyway. Then, one random night, they were watching a Vince Lombardi TV special and noticed something. Lombardi was wearing a sweater that looked eerily similar to the one that they had in their closet, the one that they had bought for just 58 cents. That's when they wondered if they had their hands on a sweater that the famous football legend could have once owned. And after taking it to a specialist, they learned that it was, in fact, Lombardi's sweater. They then sold it at auction for $43,020, making a huge profit on their measly investment. I bet they pay even more attention when visiting Goodwill or watching ESPN now. A 360-year-old painting. Now, the next time that you're at your local Goodwill, you might just want to browse through the art section, because that's exactly what 81-year-old Leroy did, and he walked out with $190,000. But how did he do this? Well, the Massachusetts man was strolling up and down the aisles of the thrift store when a $3 frame would catch his eye. You see, Leroy was previously an antique dealer, so he knew an old, valuable piece when he saw one. At the time of his purchase, he estimated that the frame and the painting was from the 1800s and could possibly be worth anywhere from $50 to $150. He quickly snatched it up and took it home. Then, about a year later, his daughter-in-law appeared on the Antiques Roadshow with the painting, and that's where she would learn that it was actually worth about $25,000. The painting, which was done around the year 1650, originated from a Flemish school in Amsterdam. Now knowing its true value, Leroy would put the painting up for auction, where it would sell for $190,000. Alexander Calder necklace. Now, most cheap extravagant jewelry is either fake or a knockoff, but not always. One Philadelphia woman was at a flea market when she saw a necklace that she simply could not resist. A few years later, she was visiting the Philadelphia Art Museum, and that's when she saw an Alexander Calder jewelry exhibit. Funnily enough, it looked a lot like the piece that she had bought only a few years back. Curious about her necklace in the jewelry box at home, she would then confirm with the Calder Foundation that she did, in fact, have an original Alexander Calder piece. Now, I imagine at that point, she would retire the piece from her usual rotation. When she did finally put it up for auction, it would sell for a massive $267,750. Now, just imagine yourself unknowingly wearing an over $250,000 piece of jewelry around your neck for all those years. The Declaration of Independence. In 2006, Michael Sparks was visiting his local thrift shop in Nashville, Tennessee, just looking for a few decorative pieces. That's when he would decide to purchase a candle holder and some salt and pepper shakers. Intrigued by an unpriced rolled-up document, he discovered that it was a reprint of the Declaration of Independence, or so he thought. When he would ask the clerk how much it was, he gave him the price of $2.40 plus tax. He then left the store to go home and display his great deals. After a few days, Michael got to thinking about this reprint of the Declaration of Independence and how it looked a little bit old. And at the time, Michael didn't know how right he was. After some research and an appraisal, he discovered that he owned one of the 200 authentic copies that were printed in 1823. What's even more impressive is that there are only about 36 copies that exist today. The appraiser told him that it was probably worth, about $250,000. But then, when he put it in the Rainer's historical collectible auction, it sold for $477,650, almost double what it was appraised for. A Faberge Egg. No, this isn't a fancy egg from a specially bred chicken. However, if you happen to find one of these eggs, you could end up a millionaire. One scrap metal dealer was looking for metals he could melt down to sell for scrap at a flea market when he came across a Faberge egg, which was priced at $14,000. Faberge eggs are jeweled eggs that were made by Peter Carl Faberge's company between 1885 and 1917, with the most famous being the Imperial Faberge egg, which were made specifically for Russian Tsars Alexander III and Nicholas II. That's because the two men wanted to give them to their wives and mothers for Easter. A total of 50 Imperial Faberge eggs were created, and only 43 are known to exist today. And what do you know? This scrap dealer just so happened to find one at a flea market. Even though the initial price was pretty hefty for the average person, the payout would be even better. The rare artifact was then appraised at $30 million. But the price it actually sold for remains a mystery. Regardless of this fact, this excellent flea market find is worth millions. Jackson Pollock painting. Terry Horton, a 73-year-old retired truck driver, was browsing through the aisles of a local thrift shop looking for a gag gift to cheer up her friend. After a few minutes, she would come across an obnoxiously large splatter painting, and she knew it was just the gift that she had to give her. After paying $5 for the detestable painting, she grudgingly kept it because it was too big to get through her friend's front door, and she instantly regretted the purchase. But not for long. After trying to sell it at a garage sale, a local art teacher told her that it might be an original Jackson Pollock painting. Not even knowing who in the world this Jackson Pollock character was, she did a bit of digging. And that's when she realized that she might have a lost painting by an extraordinarily famous artist. However, experts are conflicted about the authenticity of this piece, with some forensic specialists agreeing that it is a Pollock because the fingerprint on the painting matches one at his studio. But others argue that the colors and the lines on the painting aren't his usual style. Terry would then be offered $9 million for the painting. However, if it's a true Pollock, it could be worth up to $100 million. Therefore, she refused and said that she wouldn't take any less than $50 million. Now, I have just one question. Who in their right mind refuses $9 million for a painting that might not even be worth the $5 she paid for it? With summer coming to a close and autumn approaching with Halloween soon to follow, it's curse season. Curses have been around for as long as humans have been superstitious. Believe in them or not, you can't deny the facts. These curses range from simple bad luck all the way up to death. Most of the time, an object is cursed, and those who touch it are cursed themselves, though this isn't always the case.